In our feature report, we take a look at how Taiwan researchers have built a speech synthesis system for ALS patients. In Malaysia, we take a look at how refugees provide themselves by making handicrafts. Selamat datang ke Headline, saya Simon Gan. Terima kasih menyertai sesi berita kita. In Taiwan, researchers have initiated a project to build a speech synthesis system for ALS patients, giving them the ability to communicate. Let's take a look.
Coincidentally, during the interview, the wheelchair malfunctioned. Life is created through a series of accidents. This phrase is especially fitting when used on Associate Professor Zhu Qingliang, because he never thought he would suffer from ALS 3 years ago.
I tried to seek treatment at NTU Hospital, but doctors were unable to do anything. They tried their best.
With the inability to take care of himself due to ALS, facing the challenges, Zhu Qingliang still has wishes. Readying up for work, Zhu Qingliang, in preparation for today's recording session, read the script several times, as the script contains both English and Chinese. The recorded voices is the foundation of the voice synthesis system.
其中 BTS 防弹少年团体获颁最佳团体奖 Best Group 和最强大粉丝奖 Biggest Fans 成为双冠王。
Zhu Qingliang is focused on reading the script. If there are any mistakes while recording, the entire session starts over.
指向调外面一点，再来一个哦。
再一次，
还是请开始。
其中 BTS 防弹少年团获颁。
The weakening of one's motor neurons takes away the behavioral and vocal abilities from the ALS patient. Although the patient can have clear thoughts, they are unable to communicate with others.
At the late phase of ALS, the patient can only communicate with their eye using blinks to display what they need. So through a subtitle screen, we're able to retrieve their ability to speak, and they can now talk with their family members.
The introduction of voice synthesis technology has solved many issues, with the most notable case being world-renowned scientist Stephen Hawking. He uses eye movements to type, converting those actions into words, and transforming words into voice. The current voice synthesis technology not only can pronounce words properly, it may also recreate the patient's former voice.
The volume is determined by the amplitude, and the frequency will determine the pitch. The higher the frequency, the higher the pitch.
In order to understand how a sound is defined, vendors have lent data to AI, as the system itself is able to set thousands of points onto one's recorded voice, transforming the dotted layers into identifiable numbers. The end result creates a glossary of voices.
On the computer, we mainly look at this. We monitor the sound waves and split it into several sections. For example, within a second, we take in 48,000 hertz, and after observing its patterns, we save it as numbers.
The process sounds simple, yet the calculations behind it are extremely complicated. From recording to finishing the calculations, a week is required for perfection. Sometimes it might even extend to several months of work. This is because of everyone's voice, tone, and accent are unique and difficult to replicate.
The voices on the iPhone and Siri are standardized since pronunciation will never make a mistake, but now we're dealing with a normal person speaking, and since everyone speaks with a different manner in terms of customization, things get complicated.
After creating a voice model, the same letter uttered may be easily pronounced in multiple ways. This is thanks to the powerful AI driven behind it.
很高兴大爱台同仁来采访回声计划。 很高兴大爱台同仁来采访回声计划。
I believe if this was done through phone calls, no one can tell that this isn't actually his voice.
大家好哈，我是台大医学院朱庆良。那大家知道副教授
Zhu Qingliang was once an active speaker on stage, as he comfortably does a speech for an hour or two. Now, he gets tired after speaking for 2 minutes.
大概讲一个1-2分钟。
If I speak for 1 or 2 minutes, I'll start to feel tired, and I will also be unable to speak.
讲不太出话，要很用力。
As his body worsens each day, Zhu Qingliang never forgets about his teaching duties on campus.
如果说以后
If I really lose my voice in the future, I can still use the voice synthesis system to speak and teach. So on the issue of teaching, I can still continue my career.
可能也还可以继续延续下去。
Technology originates from human nature. This time, human creativity has given ALS patients a chance to recreate their own voice.
In Xiamen, Tzu Chi set up an environmental education station at the Xiamen No. 10 Middle School in 2017. For every following week, volunteers went there to lead recycling. On the day of the 45th anniversary of the school, especially awarded Tzu Chi the Environmental Protection Contribution Award.
The Grand 45th Anniversary celebration also features the trend of environmental protection that has lasted for many years.
大爱不是人与人之间的大爱。
Great love is not only among people, but also between human beings and the
所以
environment.
说，可能这一方面，
So in this aspect, we hope to cultivate our children to bear the ideal of such great love.
人和环境之间有这样的大爱的一个理念。
Xiamen No. 10 Middle School presents the Environmental Contribution Award to Tzu Chi for its long-lasting dedication.
If we practice environmental protection, it can broaden our horizon and enrich our lives.
Practicing environmental protection is everyone's responsibility. There are many resources like this notebook with only 1 or 2 pages written, but it was thrown away. When I see this kind of wasteful behavior, I would be very angry.
Tzu Chi came to teach us about environmental protection and guide us to do it. If we as teachers really practice it and lead the students to do it, the students will realize the eco-friendliness can be practiced in our daily lives.
From a recipient of environmental protection concepts to a promoter of new knowledge about eco-friendliness, the school has actively established an environmental protection lecturer mechanism. At present, there are more than 20 teachers and students who are environmental protection lecturers who can promote themselves.
Our environmental protection lecturers, these students are very dedicated and determined to practice environmental protection. They'll bend down to do recycling, whereas they can also have their head up to tell everyone aloud about eco-friendliness.
Because of environmental protection, an atmosphere of mutual assistance is arising, strengthening students' friendship while broadening their horizon in learning.
In the eastern part of Xiamen, Fujian, the area has been undergoing urban reconstruction since last October. All old buildings were demolished, including the recycling point in Tianlishe. Although the recycling site is temporarily closed, volunteers still head to other sites to continue doing recycling. Take a look.
The urban village in the eastern part of Xiamen, Fujian, is undergoing urban construction, and the original Tzu Chi recycling station has to be substandard.
The recycling site is gone, but there are new recycling points because the sun never sets for us Tzu Chi people, because Tzu Chi ambitions are endless.
Although most of villagers have moved, the couple who took the lead in environmental protection in Jingwang and Wuyina, they still do recycling throughout the community and did not rest from morning to night.
In 1989, when I was driving a taxi, I met a tourist who came to Xiamen and said a compliment to Xiamen, a beautiful but dirty Xiamen. At that time, as locals, I was really sad to hear it.
It was this idea that made this couple embark on Tzu Chi's environmental tasks. Since 2015, their relatives, friends, and neighbors have been inspired by them.
Brother Jingwang and sister Yina, as well as their parents, motivates me. I dare not slack off.
My mother-in-law was in poor health before. Now her physical condition and her blood sugar are all stable. Especially after she became a vegetarian, I felt that her body is better and healthier, and I feel her strength would not lose to us young people.
After the laborers moved, these items that were not taken away are all gold in eyes of the volunteers. After doing recycling, many volunteers' values have changed greatly.
Now I know that if we reduce material desires, the amount of garbage will be reduced. We don't need to buy any clothes. 2 sets of this uniform are enough. This is comfortable to wear and eco-friendly.
Because they are waiting for the urban redevelopment, the volunteers who used to do recycling in Tianlise has now changed places to do so. They said that they are now holidays for the protection of the earth, and as long as they are alive, they must continue to do it.
In Hualien, Tzu Chi volunteers provided an electric bed for a family in need. Volunteers have also visited a senior grapefruit farmer and supported him with kind actions. Here's more.
3 volunteers, averaging the age of 60, joined forces to put electric beds onto the truck, ready for a mission to send love.
平常这样子的话就比较辛苦，都会用到哪边的力？
大部分都靠这个地方呢。
In order to take care of her father, who has difficulty in moving, Miss Lin had to sleep on the floor for years. The electric bed brought in by volunteers made both of them feel more at ease.
I'm really thankful. This really brings us convenience. This is good and safe for my father. Really, I'm thankful to Tzu Chi brothers and sisters. Bless you.
In the dark storage room, grapefruits are rotting because the senior has to also care for his child, who is intellectually disabled.
Every one of us bought 1 or 2 grapefruits from him, clearing out his inventory. And once he has income, his fruits will no longer rot.
Arriving with love and compassion, volunteers have provided a shoulder for seniors to rely on, adding warmth to our humanity.
Refugees are named so because they left their country in search of political sanctuary in a more peaceful country. Without documentation in the new country, life is hard and challenging. In Malaysia, many refugees still look to provide for themselves with their own hands and educate themselves for a better future.
The whirling sound of the sewing machine means Farman from Myanmar is making her hair accessories.
I really like sewing work because my mother was a seamstress too.
Farman moved to Malaysia with her husband and has been here for 10 years. They have 4 children. The sewing machine is Farman's bread and butter. Though the family is restricted in the country by their refugee status, she never gave up on her children's education.
I could only sew and do needlework. I didn't have other skills, but with the money earned from that, I can pay for the children's extra tuition fees.
I don't think I really go to school when I was in Myanmar. The education is better. If we educate ourselves good, then we will have a better job.
Chris is not only fluent in English, but he has nimble fingers just like his mother and is gifted in crochet.
When I go to agape school, they teach them how to make this kind of things. So I was interested to learn that one, so I took a lesson for that, and now I can do it by myself.
The mother and son duo sell their finished products to supplement the family's income. To help them sell their craft is Lao Bei-Qing, founder of Anja's art project.
We started with items they know how to make so they can work from home. We then connect with the local market and the money is then transferred to them when items are sold. They're actually pretty talented, especially Chris. So we began with a small group and I took them to some markets to perform and also sell their handmade items.
Anjaz Art Project's mission is to provide children with the chance to express their creativity through performance, as well as provide an outlet for the mothers to sell their handcraft.
I see them work hard in their studies and continue to improve themselves. Chris, every time he finishes a project, he will send me a message asking what I think of it and what I think can be improved upon.
Lao Bei-chen is a performance artist, a mother, and also a teacher to these refugee children. She was inspired to start the Anjaz Art Project in remembrance of her daughter.
我去参与一个难民的活动。
I was at a refugee event and saw a little girl who said she liked to dance and sing, but she didn't have an opportunity to continue her education because the tuition was expensive. When I heard that, I felt as if my daughter was giving me a mission in life. So I turned my sadness into so much more love to help those who are in need of help.
转化成更大的爱，去帮助更多真正有需要的人。
With such a driving force behind her, Lao has multiple hats on, but she does not feel fatigued by it. She continues to strive to remember her daughter through the efforts of helping the refugee children with their education and dream.
In Malaysia, Tzu Chi volunteers have been promoting vegetarian diet in the community. In the activity, participants ate a vegetarian diet that was low in oil and salt. 21 days later, their blood test results show the positive effects of a vegetarian diet. Here's more.
尤其是最佳的血压改善奖，恭喜您哦！
您得到最佳血糖改善奖，您的血糖从7.1跌到4.8。
After 21 days, participants of the vegetarian food contest have improved their health. One has to adopt a vegetarian diet in the right way. 66 community residents are participating in the activity initiated by Kuala Lumpur and Selangor city volunteers. As the vegetarian restaurants cook vegetarian food with less oil and salt, the participants can eat healthy vegetarian food.
It is actually very challenging for a restaurant to cook food while retaining the original taste of the food. After the inspection of the team, they came up with a standard menu.
After promoting a balanced diet, doctors shared the results of the contestants over the internet.
Before their participation in the contest, nearly 19% of the participants had a high blood pressure of more than 140. Later, it dropped by 12%.
Research has proven that a vegetarian diet can help one lose weight, and its effect is twice as of a diabetes diet, improving the sensitivity of insulin. In addition, vegetarian diet can improve blood glucose, weight, blood pressure, and cholesterol. No medications can do this.
One has to adopt the correct eating habits and exercise regularly to prevent the onset of illnesses.
In Taiwan, the National Yunlin University of Science and Technology has set up courses that stresses on hands-on experiences, which allow students to learn from different fields and make it easier for them to find jobs before they graduate.
I think a political training is very helpful for me.
The concept of transcending different majors gives students a second chance.
因为你会先找到自己的路。 就是择你所爱，爱你所择，这样。
Roasting coffee beans and tasting coffee, 3 college students look like they're enjoying a coffee break. In fact, they're attending a class at a coffee shop that is half an hour right away from their school.
This is considered a high-level internship. I can discuss with teacher about my interest and the place I want to interest at. My teacher will find a suitable company for us.
Xu Yixuan has won the 2nd place in the coffee bean roasting contest. In the past, she did not know she could develop an interest in making coffee.
After I came here, I had the chance to practice doing the work. Then I realized that I'm interested in the field.
Xu Yixuan was on a ceremonial guard team in high school, and she studied abroad in Japan, South Korea, and England. She was accepted by NYUST with outstanding academic performance and seemed to have a bright future. However, she did not want to study a fixed curriculum.
I hope that doing design work can enhance my skills, but I do not hope it is my future work. For instance, when I'm making coffee, I can do design work. However, I do not want to sit in front of a computer and do design work as a job.
After setting a goal, she wants to do more. Isha not only interns at a coffee shop, she also works as a Director General for Community Development Association. While combining coffee culture and local industry, she has learned to hold large events.
If you only have one skill or only work in one profession, you lack competitiveness or the ability to challenge other people.
We must know what we want to do and what we enjoy doing, then we should try it.
Gao Chuyan and Liao Ziyun both want to decide their future direction.
Because of the current system, you might have chosen a major that you are not interested in, then you also do not know how to choose. If there is a chance to change majors, go ahead and change majors. Choose what you love and love what you choose.
After they came to the school, they have different internships and they learn skills at different companies. The main goal is for them to develop skills that are useful in industries before they graduate.
At the future college, every student is instructed by 3 teachers who plan a curriculum that fits the student's career development.
Students can take all the classes that have been approved by the directing committee. These majors cannot reject students. When future college students take classes in your major, you cannot turn them down.
For students in their junior and senior years, it is like a filter, which is very wide in their freshman and sophomore years, and narrows down in junior and senior years. It is like we are trimming the leaves. During junior and senior year, we make them focus on their abilities.
Their learning is aimed at connecting them to the job market.
In the industry, many people mentioned to me that they need people who cross multiple fields. We discussed this before. We need to combine 2 or 3 professions.
To nurture talents who cross fields, the school has set 7 criteria to determine if the student's learning has reached its goal. They include obtaining job offers from enterprises, starting their own businesses, being able to raise funds from recognized platforms, winning more than 200,000 NT dollars in competitions. Without these, it is still fine if one can get into government offices. Reaching these goals means one can support oneself after graduation.
The future college is not a shelter. We will kick you out. When you set regulations, when you draw the water level line, if he is about to drown, he'll struggle to live. Then his potential will be inspired.
In the education field, if we can allow students to learn skills from 2, 3, or 4, or 5 professional fields, I think it is better for their development.
With this training, the students can find jobs as soon as they graduate and get ready to contribute their abilities.
In Argentina, after the 7-month restriction order was lifted back in November last year, such volunteers have been distributing aid supplies to the residents in need during the end of the year. We'll leave you with these images. Thank you and goodbye.